What if the real reason God keeps saying no to your prayers is because you're asking for something that would destroy you in secret? You cry out, you plead, you fast, you sow, but heaven is silent. And the silence is not rejection, it's protection. There are times when the very thing you're begging for is the exact thing that would derail your destiny. And God, who sees the end from the beginning, Isaiah 46 verse 10, is not moved by your tears, but by your transformation. You think he's withholding a blessing, but in reality, he's blocking a burden dressed up like a breakthrough. What you call delay, he calls development. Your heart is asking, why not now? But God is asking, if I gave it to you now, would you still need me? There is a hidden danger in answered prayers. Success before sanctification becomes sabotage. And some of you are unknowingly praying for idols, not assignments. The job, the relationship, the opportunity. If it's secretly more about proving your worth than fulfilling your purpose, he will say no every time. James 4, verse 3 exposes this plainly. You ask and do not receive, because you ask with wrong motives. This is a spiritual warning, not a punishment. God's no isn't always a denial. It's a redirection, a refining fire meant to purify your desire until it mirrors his. He loves you too much to give you a yes that would feed your pride and kill your purpose. Sometimes the shocking truth is the very thing you're asking for is connected to your comfort, not your calling. Look at Paul. He asked 3 times for the thorn to be removed, but God said no, 2 Corinthians 12 verses 8 to 9. Not because Paul was in sin, but because weakness would anchor him in grace. You think the delay means you're doing something wrong, but what if it means you're finally getting it right? God's silence can be the loudest confirmation that he's working behind the scenes, shaping your character to sustain what you can't even handle yet. And then there's the hidden test. Will you still trust him when he closes the door you swore was your destiny? Abraham waited 25 years for Isaac, not because God was cruel, but because premature fulfillment would have led to incomplete faith. Some of you are being trained in the silence. Your waiting room is your classroom. If you can't carry rejection with faith, how will you carry influence with humility? Romans 8 verse 28 doesn't say everything you want is good. It says everything works together for good, and sometimes that good is disguised as disappointment. The truth is, God will often say no when your spiritual maturity can't catch what you're praying for. You want marriage, but you don't know how to die to self. You want promotion, but can't steward purity in private. He sees what's hidden, even when you perform what's holy. So the no is his mercy, because if you got what you asked for too soon, it would expose what you haven't healed. And let's be honest, some of us don't want a prayer answered. We want a shortcut past obedience. But there are no shortcuts in the kingdom, only seasons of pruning before fruit. John 15 verse 2 says he cuts back every branch that bears fruit. So even when you're doing everything right, the no could be proof that he's preparing you for more. The most dangerous prayer is the one God answers before you're ready. So here's the challenge. Will you keep praying even when the answer is silence? Will you worship in the waiting, trust in the tension, believe even when belief feels like a battle? Because the ones who receive God's best are the ones who don't just seek his hand, but surrender to his will. Stop trying to manipulate the miracle. God is not a vending machine. He's a father. And sometimes a father's greatest act of love is to say no when everything in you is begging for yes.